Hello everyone, my name is Teo Wen Long. Today I'm going to present on my paper News Event Prediction using Causality Approach on South China Sea Conflicts. My supervisor is Prof. Madhya Dr. Anazinda bin Designer. So first is the introduction. South China Sea is actually a conflict zone whereby estimate 5 trillions of US dollar raw product shipped through this land, and the nearby country actually their conflict over each other to have the main control of the whole South China Sea. And then for the event prediction is also an important technique nowadays that makes the past pattern or experience to predict the future event. And then to make the event prediction works, causality is important because it takes care of cause and effects, whereby every event will occur first on cause and followed by effects. So in this study, event prediction is necessary and the causality will be taken as a main attributes. The problem background is that South China Sea conflict is actually greatly impact on the policy made by government of Malaysia to overcome the negative impacts of this territorial dispute in terms of national securities. The problem is that how can we extract valuable information from this South China Sea related conflict news and use them to predict the future event? Second is the challenge to understanding the structures online news data and then extract the correct information from this data. The third one is that current major research done is mostly focused on causal event detection and extractions. For literature review, event prediction is widely used in many different domains such as natural disaster, political, social, and economy. So one of the example is that researcher use this event prediction to predict the market stock price in order to give the investor more convincing results. And then for the South China Sea conflict is actually located strategically within Asia countries such as China, Taiwan, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia. So it is the busiest shipping lanes and also brings a huge market profiles to the country. So many nearby countries that they start to claim South China Sea is their own territories. And China even illustrate a 9-dash line to claim the major part of the South China Sea to their own territory. So as you can see, this is the second picture is the 9-dash line. So as you can see, China actually claiming most of the area to their territory. So for event detection and extraction, is actually using causal keywords. So causal keywords such as because leads to, they are used to detect event causality from sentence and then also split the candidates causal and effect phrase, separate them. Yeah. And then the second one is the annotation. So the annotation we are using is the break annotation tools. Annotation is can be annotate for identical cause and effect phrase, and then these annotated terms will be processed further. For the event representation in this study, we'll use 3 different approaches. So the first one is dog to bag. So it's like word to bag. So word to bag is something embedding that it is an embedding technique that convert words to a vector. So dog to vec is actually converting a sentence to a vector by converting each words to a vector and then using a range or concat algorithm to make them classified together to product a single vector. So the second is infer sense. So infer sense is actually a state-of-art sentence embedding that proposed by a Facebook researcher. So it provides a semantic sentence representation and are trained on natural language inference. So the training scheme is actually based on LSTM, self-attending network, and hierarchical convolutional networks. And the third is BERTS. So BERTS stands for bidirectional encoding representation from transformer. So it's another state-of-art embedding that proposed by Google AI language. In BERTS, there are two major components. One is called MAS-LM. Short term is called MLM. It's actually allow the bidirectional training whereby the model is used, the context works around a mask. And then the second one is next sentence prediction. So a CLS token is inserted at the beginning of the sentence, while SEP token is inserted at the end of the sentence. So when this algorithm works, it will ignore the sequence of the sentence, but and perform well in the embedding process. And then for the vector similarity, there are many different vector similarity that we can use. Is cosine similarity. Second is Euclidean or Jacquard distance or Wurtz-Mover distance. But in this study, cosine similarity is used because of the best fit to measure semantic similarity due to its simplicity and a strong baseline. So it's widely used in question answering system, as it's written highest similarity question and link to the corresponding answer. So this is the cosine similarity functions, and a diagram that illustrate the idea of vector similarity. So the methodology and implementation is that, so in this study there will be three phases. So the first phase is a causality corpus building. In this phase we will collect all the South China Sea related data, and then we also will use the causal keywords to do the causal cue detection, and then we will extract them by annotation. The phase 2 is causal phrase representation and similarity measure. So in this phase, all the extracted causality pair will be embedded into each corresponding vectors by using the three different embedding technique that just mentioned earlier. And then after that, all of them will be measured by by cosine similarity to get the most related cause. For phase 3 causality prediction model is that from phase 2 we will get a best fit embedding algorithm, and then we will use the best fit embedding algorithm to produce a more similar phrase selection, and we'll produce our causal prediction models. So the data set is taken from online, and then where all the data set you use keywords such as China, Vietnam, South China Sea, Spatry, WordCode, and etc. to search for online news. And then there are total 200 articles crawl and be cleaned to raw text. And then these 200 articles are split into ratio of 80 to 20 for training data and testing data. So there's another benchmark data set called SAM-EVA 2010 Task 8 is used for validation. In the SAM-EVA 2010 Task 8, the causal effect entity pairs is extracted for 557 training data and 140 for testing data. For the performance measure, we are using ground truth labeling, which 0 is wrongly predicted, 1 is correctly predicted. Then the accuracy will be measured based on the total number of correctly predicted effects divided by total number of effects. So for the phase 1, all the causal news is crawled by causal cube detection, And then breadth annotation tool will be used to annotate the cause and effect phrase and store into ANN file for further processing. So this picture is illustrate that the T5, T6, and R3 is actually ANN file format, and then for T5 and T6 they are tagged with cause and entity, cause entity, and T6 is an effect entity. So these two, after pattern max string extraction using regular expression, will be formed a causal pair format. Is something similar to the tuple. And then for phase 2, 3 different embedding technique, dog-to-wag, InferSense, BERT are loaded with pre-trained model. So dog-to-wag are using English Wikipedia DVOW, and then InferSense is using Crawl 300 D2M wax, while BERT is using BERT-based NLI means token. So after these 3 embedding model are loaded with pre-trained model, and then the causality pair is all the causality pairs will be loaded into this embedding model to get the most similar cause phrase from the embedding technique. So the test data is tracked as an input query to determine the accuracy of the model by getting the most similar phrases measured by cosine similarity. So for example, so the example is that we use the cause phrase for these 3 different embedding model, and then we get the most similar cause phrases by cosine similarity, and then we each of the cause phrase will link to their corresponding effect phrase. So the effect phrase will list in the table, and then we will perform our ground truth labeling. So phase 3 is the causal evaluations and create a causal prediction model. So in this phase, evaluation is done by predicting the true label and accuracy of the correctly predicted event. So the embedding technique with highest accuracy is selected and treated as the best fit embedding technique to be part of the causal prediction model. So this, yeah. So for the results, so after testing with test set 1 and test set 2, as well as our benchmark test set, so as you can see that BERT have the highest number of correctly predicted label, which is correctly predicted, and it is the best fit embedding technique to construct our causal prediction model. So as you can see here, BERT reached the average accuracy of 50.85%, that outstanding the InferSense and dog-to-wag. So for the causal prediction model, so actually we built a model that allows user to enter their random cause phrase. So in this experiment, we take 2 different phrases. So first is the cause phrase from data corpus. So as you can see that if we enter the developed bilaterals type, the most possible effect is cannot possibly pose any direct threat. So this is very related to the cause phrase. And the second one is that if we randomly input a cause phrase, like for example China won trade war, and then the most possible effect that produced by BERT will be global security governments has suffered a setback. So this is also highly matched to the cause phrase that can be used to predict the most possible outcome for this input cause phrase. So a conclusion is that we have successfully developed a causal prediction model using the case study of South China Sea dispute, and then we also developed a cause-effect causality pair that were extracted by causal cube words and annotations tools. Then a comparison was done among 3 embedding techniques So the first one is bird, second is infrasound, and third is dog to wax. So the fourth is that bird is appear to be the best fit and padding techniques that were developed in the that was deployed in the causal prediction model.